Frosty Boi Friday.
Hey guys, this is Ryan Denson, also known as the Boston Beer Guy. I hope you're doing well and having a great Friday. I want to welcome you on to this week's episode of Frosty Boi Fridays, where we'll shotgun a Nite Light and then rate a craft beer. This episode is sponsored by Proof Somerville over in 10 Main Street. If you're in the area and need some good craft beer, head over there and they got a wonderful selection. I would like to welcome on a very special guest, Isaac Boucher, who is a brewer over at Night Shift. Isaac, thanks for joining us.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, thanks for having me.
Awesome. So Isaac, can you give me a little bit of a description as to what you do at Night Shift?
Yeah. So my title there is brewer, but in fact, that's one of the many aspects of what we do there. Everyone does a little bit of everything there. So I'll have brew days where I'll actually, brew beer on the brew house, days in the cellar, transferring, cleaning tanks, and then packaging days as well on the canning line, kegging beer, different things like that. So I kind of get my hands in a little bit of everything there.
Kind of a jack of all trades, if you must, someone who does pretty much a little bit of everything.
Yeah. I mean, part of the thinking there is like that way no one can get too high on their horse. Like the brewers still are going to be on the canning line, so so everyone gets to share a little bit of the the good stuff and the bad stuff, so to speak. That comes with professional brewing.
Gotcha. Well, I don't know if you remember, and obviously from our viewers, we actually met a few months back, maybe like almost a year ago, at the Mass Brew Bros Porter and Stout tasting, and we got connected there. And I actually had brewed my own double IPA, which you tried as well. So that's actually how I got to know you, and that's how we started kind of going back and forth. So I don't know if you remember that at all.
Actually, no, I do. I always, especially, in those early days, I went to a lot more of those.
Oh, yeah.
When they were still, kind of small and everything. But no, there's been some great people I met through those. And it's great to see when they start popping up in social media and stuff. I keep an eye on them and see what they're up to and everything. And you're one of them for sure.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. That's great. All right, so let's jump into this right now. So we're going to go into our shotgun. And for all of you at home, I like to shotgun a Bud Light, but because we're reviewing with Night Shift, we're going to be reviewing the Nite Light. And Isaac and I have 16-ounce cans. So this is going to be extremely difficult and fun, but we're going to do this anyways. So we'll pop these open and get it all set up.
Yeah, we're playing with the big boys here. All right, I got
pulling out the big bird. I always get a little spillage on myself. It always happens. Oh, you're going for the stab.
I just put a towel down on the floor to catch a little bit.
You're going for the stab method. I like it. I use the key in the inside of the can.
Oh, there you go. Nice, good move. All right.
Awesome. All right, if you're ready, cheers, stay frosty. Let's do this.
Cheers. All right, let's do it. Whew. It's a lot of beer.
That's a lot of beer.
Woo. Oh, I got a little left.
A little left? Yeah, I think I got to finish mine lower.
Nope. I missed that little bit.
I'm out too. Awesome. Well, that's always difficult.
Ooh.
That's always difficult. Well, that was fun. I'm glad that there was no catastrophic. That was the best one we've had so far. I love it. I appreciate the hustle on it. So,
well, like I said, I watched a couple of them and I saw some guys fall short, and I didn't want to be that guy,
I know. I had to teach my roommates how to shotgun a beer. It's pretty pathetic. Well, awesome. So I guess we'll get into the review now. So I'm actually going to be reviewing out of a very fun glass that I got from Everett. It is the Night Shift Owl Creative Glass. I don't know what this glass is called, but I saw it and I loved it.
I believe that's the Maryland graphic.
Okay. I'll show it again.
Blonde barley wine. Oh man, God, I should know this stuff.
You're all set. But this is, I love Night Shift. This glass caught my eye immediately, so it's a great glass. Isaac, what are you gonna drink out of?
All right, I'm going with this nice little etched Mystic glass. And
Oh,
this
love
is
it.
from back in the day. This was the first brewery I worked for in the industry and everything. I don't know if they actually sold these or if he just had some samples kicking around the brewery. I know when I was there's only like 3 or 4 of these, and Brian Greenhagen, the owner, was like, "Hey, if you guys want these, take them." And I certainly grabbed one, and yeah, it's a real nice glass, and I do drink a lot of beer out of it.
Yeah, it's too bad about Mystic. I mean, those beers were just so good, but I mean, it's the times. It's tough.
Yeah, no, I mean it is a tough business, and there's you don't necessarily have to be making bad beer to not survive,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah, no. Awesome. So we're actually going to be reviewing today Night Shift's How Are You Now? This is a New England style IPA, and I can only imagine that this can art, and specifically the name, is after the incredible show Letterkenny. Is that correct?
That is correct, and I'll admit that that had to be explained to me because I not being a Hulu subscriber, I've heard of the show, but I've never watched it. I've seen some clips since then, but
Yeah.
yeah, like everyone was like giggling the first time we were packaging it in Everett and everything. This beer actually started out in Lovejoy, our brew pub,
Yeah.
outside of the garden.
Yep.
And then it got such a good response that we scaled it up in Everett and sent it out to distro. This is the second round out in the world, so
Yeah.
so the kids really like it,
Yeah.
So it's
I get it. Awesome.
it's
So
good.
let's crack this open and
Oh yeah,
we'll
yeah,
get
let's do
started.
it.
So while we're opening this up, I mean, so you mentioned that your first brewery that you ever worked for was Mystic. How did you get into the brewing industry?
Well, I started my first foray into the industry. Oh, let's yeah. Nice. All right.
I got a pretty good pour.
Nice. Here you go. Sweet. This is not quite 16, so there's a little bit left in the can, but that's okay. It's like the hops in this are Rakau and Citra.
Yeah.
And you probably the Citra really comes, you get a lot of that orange in there, and
Yeah.
the Rakau is real nice. You get a lot of tropical fruit in there. Some passion fruit.
No, it's a very tasty beer, and I mean
Maybe a little peach in there.
Yeah, from the beginning of it, you can really smell the citra hops. You can really kind of taste the citrus, all the different flavors, the mango, the passion fruit. It has a really nice pour, and I think that it's a great beer for like the summer, springtime, where it's kind of getting warm out and you need something to quench your thirst. And I feel like this is a great beer for that sort of that time frame.
Oh, absolutely, definitely. Yeah, it's super refreshing and stuff. And what I like, I don't drink a lot of double IPAs. That's not really
Your
those are a
forte.
little too strong for me. Like single IPAs, that's more my wheelhouse. So, this has got, it's real soft, not big on the bitterness and those fruit
Yeah.
flavors. And
Yeah.
nice warm days, definitely,
Is a good one. So I mean, so I think we started talking a little bit. So how did you get into brewing? I mean, you're now a brewer,
Oh,
or you were all over in Night Shift. Now, I mean, how did you get there, and what sort of fueled your passion to pursue that as a career?
So it started out, I'm not as young as a lot of the guys in the game right now. I was a real estate accountant for a number of years, and I started home brewing as a hobby.
As everyone does.
Yes, yeah. I'm sure that's not an unusual story
I
for
got it all in my
professional brewer
basement.
right now. But, yeah, but from there, yeah, that was I think 2010 was when I first brewed my first home brew batch. So right around then, it was sort of the next wave of craft beer was sort of we had it sort of in the mid 90s, and it kind of died down a little bit. Now, in the mid to late 2000s, it started to resurge, and by 2010 you started to see stuff popping up. I was kind of tired of doing the accounting thing, and I'm like, this looks like something that, you know, I really enjoyed home brewing. I really enjoyed the process of making beer and everything. So I'm like, well, you know, I love the hobby. Let's, you know, maybe it's something that I could turn into a career. And so from there, yeah, I went to actually I jumped in both feet. I quit my job. I went out to Vermont and did a course in brewing at the American Brewers Guild, which is also a drop-in brewery if anyone's familiar with that. And then from there, just started sending out resumes and trying to hustle, get my foot in the door. I got my foot in the door at Ironheart, which was a brand new mobile canning company
Mobile
at the
canning, yeah.
time. And the owner, Tyler Willie, he was an old finance, well, not old, but he was a finance guy from Manhattan that had given up the finance life to pursue, you know, something in craft. And so I think he might have had a soft spot for me. He gave me a shot, and from there, you know, I was just traveling all over New England, you know,
Canning
beer at cool breweries, any place they would have us, and then that was enough experience to kind of, when Mystic had a position open, it was funny because they're like, you need to apply in person. And I'm like, okay. So I went down with my resume and everything. And it just so happened that the person that I talked to was Brian Greenhagen, who was the owner. We had a nice little conversation. Didn't hear from him for a couple of weeks, sent some pesky follow-up emails, and he offered me a position. And from there, it just sort of, you know, it's just like anything else. You get your foot in the door, you get some experience. If you understand what you're doing and work hard and do a good job, then, you know, that opens up and certainly the mobile canning, I'm not going to lie, is having canning experience in craft beer right now is a very, very good you know,
very desirable trait. So you went from the the canning, you went over to Mystic. How did you get to Night Shift? I mean, what brought you to Night Shift?
It was sort of a circuitous route. So it's funny because Night Shift was one of those early breweries that I tried getting into when I was trying to get into the industry. You know, so I liked what they had going on, and, you know, I kind of had my eye on them. And then working for the mobile canning company, I actually canned there a few times, so I got to know a few of the folks in there and everything. Not that helped me at all in the long run, but I went from Mystic to I had an opportunity at 603 Brewery in Londonderry, New Hampshire. I'm a New Hampshire boy. I still live here, so it was like sort of my backyard. And again, someone else that owners that I known through mobile canning. So I went there and sort of negotiated, like, hey, run canning line, get that going, train people. I want to get on the brew house, like, you know, that's my passion, is I want to get up there and brew beer and start brewing. So like, yeah, we can make that work. And that's what I did. I figured out that the canning process, you know, fairly solid, then trained people to do it so that I didn't have to be the guy anymore. So that, you know, freed me up in the brew house. And then from there, it's just an opportunity, you know, there was the brew position open at Night Shift, and it was just really a fluke. I just threw my hat in the ring, and before I knew it.
And now you're wearing their hat.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Well, so let me ask you this. I mean, you've worked at a few other places and whatnot. What sort of separates Night Shift? And I mean, I guess this is a twofold question. What separates Night Shift from all the other breweries? And what separates Night Shift from a lot of the other sort of like mid-tier breweries that also distribute, you know, locally, more globally?
That's a good. Well, I mean, Night Shift is certainly, which is funny, at the time when I first started canning, they're very small, but I say they, it's we. You know, I'm part of that team now. I think back to when I wasn't, but it's you know, very small. And then by the time I got there, it was a very big place. Like they run 4 or 5 times a day on the 20-barrel system. You know, we had 60-barrel tanks. Like we were, that 4-head canning line was way too small. We've since upgraded to an 8-head, and even that's, we have weeks where it's hard keeping up with it. So and part of that was how they got that big was they had a good model. They had owners that were aggressive about getting out there. We started our own distribution company, so it's like, so now you're not giving a piece of that action to someone else, like you're still
taking it all
it's
in.
like,
Yeah.
so yeah, exactly. So so it's interesting to see, like, they were, even when I started, it's just over 3 years ago now, they're already looking bigger than just a little local. They want to be a local place, but they want to be bigger than that. They're and they did a lot of things right to get there, and it's a lot of nerdy brewing stuff at the beginning, but there's also a lot of stuff going on in the corporate level now that that I can't speak to too much because I'm not involved in that day-to-day stuff. But yeah, no, it's
well, that's cool.
It's just, yeah, there's a lot of stuff, but it's definitely when you get to there's definitely a big difference between a good sized regional as opposed to a very small local place.
Yeah. Well, you guys are even, I mean, I saw your latest Instagram post that you're distributing to Connecticut. So you're getting yourself out there. And I mean, and you do a little bit of New York, all over Massachusetts. I mean, you could literally go to any liquor store and they're going to have Night Chef. So, I mean, the Connecticut thing is pretty good. And I know you had the Pennsylvania location kind of secured and that kind of fell through and whatnot. So, but the Connecticut thing is great with the distribution company and opening up a distribution location there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. And, hopefully we do well there. I think we will, because
I think you will.
Connecticut's been, we try to dip our toe in there through other distribution channels about a year or so ago. That didn't quite shake out. I don't know the particulars behind that, but I know that Connecticut is really excited for our beer, and so I'm excited to see how it goes down there.
That's great. So kind of moving into a little more of your personal preference. I mean, obviously, you work a night shift. What is your favorite beer? It could be produced now or before from night shift.
From night shift, let's see. My favorite beer from that's that's sort of a loaded question, because
it's always a tricky question.
Yeah, well,
you can answer it in a few, like if you have a few favorites, you can answer them and say why. I'm curious to see, like when you're at night shift, like when you're like, what is your favorite kind of go-to drink there? Like what's your favorite beer? And, if you've produced one in the past, which one was it and why do you love it so much?
Well, that's why I laugh, is because I've been fortunate enough where I've had a few recipes produced there. So I've had, some stuff go out into the world. So, it's hard to be biased unbiased when I'm clearly going to be biased towards your
beer. Do you have a favorite style that you guys produce? I mean, I'm trying to make this a little bit easier,
Yeah. Well, we do. I mean, the stuff that I drink a lot of our lagers, to be quite honest. I like. It's funny, as a professional brewer, I think you kind of go through this sort of evolution of, at first you're all excited about all this new stuff and all the new hops and all the sexy new hops, and you want to try like all the IPAs and all this stuff and all the crazy. Then after a while, you drink that stuff all the time. Like, you want to try something, and like as a brewer, like you're constantly trying beer people give you,
sounds like a pretty good gig.
Everything. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, but it's like, it's kind of almost too much of a good thing sometimes. So like when I get home at the end of the day, I want something simple, clean, low ABV. Like, I don't want to think, like, I want it to be interesting, but I don't really want to be thinking about like, I don't want it to be like, oh yeah, this is gonna be work to get through. Like I want it to be like, oh, this is a nice beer,
Yeah.
and it's gone before I know it, and I want another glass, and like I can get up and walk to the kitchen and get another glass without feeling dizzy or wobbly or something like that, you know. So I definitely, you know, a lot of our lagers, and that's, I think when I originally mentioned, like I was you talking about maybe doing Stein beer, which is our Marzen
Yeah.
style, you know, Oktoberfest season, and that's something I've been drinking a lot of lately. Pfaffenheck, which is our Pilsner, is a really nice beer. Um, one of my favorite lagers of recipes I produce is Shimmer, and I think if you
Oh, it's
ask,
a great beer.
I think if you ask some of the staff there too, you know, that was a staff favorite, which was great. Like, you know, was a great, you know, I think that people are excited about that, makes you feel good, you know, and when it's a beer that's not going to get those big ratings on Untapped, you know, like Shimmer, you
Yeah.
look it up, I think it's like 3.6, 3.7, but like the people that you know, you talk to that drink that beer appreciate that beer for what it is, which is it's a light, easy drinking beer, but it's interesting enough where it's not boring, you know. And like I drank 2 or 3 liters of that last year at Oktoberfest and was happy with it, you know, and could keep going after that. But I mean, you know, so
Yeah.
yeah, that's for me,
All right.
like those are the beers I get excited about it
Yeah.
for. There's we put out plenty of great IPAs, and there's,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, and we do a really good job with that and stuff. But if I'm going to be quite honest, I don't come home and drink those.
Yeah,
You
no, I
know?
get it. I mean, well, I'll definitely have to have you back on at some point, and we'll do a little more of like those pillars and Oktoberfests. Well, I mean, you were talking a little bit more about how you know have a lot of beers that you've brewed yourself for recipes. How do you I guess this is sort of like an inner brewer myself to a brewer as yourself. You know, how do you come up with these sort of recipes? And you know, it's a lot. I know it's a lot of trial and error, but you know, what makes a good beer recipe worth submitting to the people at Night Shift for production?
um, that's tough. I mean, there's a lot of different aspects. For me, it's I try to think of like I'm doing something if I'm doing something more classic style, I like to think of what's an interesting twist, just an interesting little something that I could do with this that would make it different, but not so different someone would be like, oh, that's not this beer, you know, like what are you doing? And sometimes that works. It's really tough to say. It's like I it's funny because there's some people in there, because like I said, I've had a few recipes now, and people are like, how do you get, and I'm like, honestly, I've submitted a lot, and I've had a few made, and that's kind of, for me, that's kind of it,
Yeah.
is you know, it's a volume game to a certain degree for me, is, you know, always thinking about stuff and coming up with stuff. But because I'm not the head brewer, I'm just some schmo that gets to make some beer every now and then. For me, it's like I think of stuff like, what do I want to drink, or
Yeah.
what's something like
You
that
would
I would
enjoy.
like to see me. What's that?
You would enjoy. You know, like something that you would want to
Yes,
bring to
yeah,
the. Yeah. I feel the same way.
yeah. So it's, but you know, so for me, it's a lot of stuff like that, like a little bit of a different angle on something that might be
Hmm.
classic, and be like, hey, how about we try this? You know, although it's funny because my one of the recipes that's the recipe that's highest rated that I've made there was more sort of it was just sort of a fun little whimsical thing for me. It originally came out as blonde roast, and then we redid it as Holy Jane,
Okay.
which is it is basically a blonde milk stout with coffee,
Yeah.
and that's, I was always fascinated by blonde coffee beers, so I like wanted to do something like that, and then I also had this fascination with like pale pastry beers too, because you think pastry beer a lot of time, you think you know, you think dark stout. So
Mhm.
so that sort of just came from like this fun little whimsical thing that I thought, hey, people might dig this, and they really did. And the first version blonde roast was done. It was done with the original coffee we used in Awake, and then the next year when we came out with the night shift coffee roasting, so we had our own branded coffee. So the next year we were going to this Holy Jane, but it was essentially the same base recipe, but we used night shift coffee instead of the original coffee brand that we used the year before.
That's pretty cool.
But it's like, it was fun because like the roastiness from the beans and everything, you're drinking this pale beer, but it tasted like a stout because the beans gave it this roastiness that you didn't expect. And I remember one of the bartenders, he's like, the first time I tried it, he's like, I looked at it, I took a sip and I looked at it again. I'm like, what the hell am I drinking here? And like, for me, that was like, that was great, because that was great. What I was trying to achieve. It's just kind of, a little fun thing to like mess with people's minds, and people loved it. So
that's good.
Yeah. It's those little ones like that, and you just never know what's going to stick,
Yeah, I mean, I feel you. I mean, I made a few beers in my past, and my favorite and my best one was this. It was kind of like a treehouse replica of their Julius, and it was something that where I actually had one of my buddies come over, and I had the Julius and I had my beer, and it was a blind taste test, and it was the fact that he couldn't decipher which one was Treehouse, which one was mine, made me like feel great. So it's one of those things where I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to get into a little bit of the review portion of the beer. So obviously you're the guest on the show. So do you want to give me your review and then scale this between one out of 10 and kind of give it a rating for me?
Oh, sure. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of things going on, and since I get to pick the beer, I'm obviously going to pick something that I enjoy, and so that's what I did here. And there's a lot of. I mean, the color's real nice.
The color is beautiful. Yeah, if you guys haven't seen it, the color is just absolutely beautiful.
Little C20 in there to kind of. you don't need much crystal, just a little touch to give a little brightness to there.
Yeah.
And and that for me too. That's how a beer looks is because we all look at a beer before we drink it. So that's part of it. So, the color is nice. And as we both saw, when we poured it, a nice head. And it's nice. Like I said, there's not bitterness. It's real soft. So you get like those fruity, juicy flavors. And then at the end, it just kind of rolls down your tongue, and you want more in your mouth, and
you want to drink more.
Yeah. And for me, those are the beer, like I've had some amazing beers, but after you have like a 4-ounce sampler, you're like, that's all that I need of that beer, and at the end of the day, I want something that like I can take a big chug of it, and I'm like, damn, that was good, and yes, I can drink another big chug of that.
Of course.
I feel like that this is one of those beers for me that it's nice and soft and juicy and fruity, because I like fruity more than piney now.
Yeah,
I used to be big into pine, those piney IPAs. But
me too. I've changed to the fruitier ones. Yeah. So what would you give this 1 out of 10?
Oh boy, I would say 8.5 on this.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, for my, I feel the same way with yourself. I mean, the piney beers, I've done them. I had my phase where I only like the piney beers. I really like the fruitiness of it. I mean, the mango, the passion fruit. It's, again, one of those beers that you want to have more. I would say my rating is going to be, I'm going to go 8.9. I think it's a great beer. I love IPAs. I think this is an absolute delicious beer, and I definitely want more. So, Isaac, really appreciate you coming on the show. Seriously, it's been absolutely wonderful to have you on. We'll have to have you on again and talk more about Pilsner and Oktoberfest and whatnot. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, absolutely. No, hey, thanks for having me. Definitely. And yeah,
of course.
But I'm gonna Anna's gonna bust my balls that you rated this higher than I did now, so I'm gonna have to deal with that. I'm just not gonna tell her, just hopefully no one will mention it.
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, again, I appreciate you coming on, and for everyone at home, this has been a great experience to have, one of the brewers from Night Shift on, and I'm hoping to have more people from the brewery on and ask some more difficult questions. But from now, I appreciate it, and cheers and stay frosty.